Hey, what's up guys? Jake with Legacy 4x4 here again, and today we got a super simple kind of tool reveal slash assembly video that we're going to go through today. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. So sitting next to me here, I have a Prusa MK3 Plus 3D printer. I picked this up recently because I recognize that I have a lot of projects that I could use some rapid prototyping capability for. What I plan on using this for mostly is for custom prototyping type projects on a lot of my trucks, because my two trucks are both extremely custom vehicles, and the ability to make rapid plastic or nylon carbon fiber type parts is going to be huge for filling in some of the stuff on these trucks that I just can't find parts off the shelf for. So that's the main reason why I wanted this. Secondary to that, I also plan on using this to remake some parts specifically for the plasma cutter. I want to remake my mechanical mounting brackets. Instead of using that aluminum, which doesn't quite fit right, I want to use some nylon carbon fiber type filament in order to remake the three main mounting points for the plasma table. I looked up what those parts would cost me if I were to buy them new, and they were pretty damn close to the cost of this printer. So I figured if I buy the printer, I can use it on the Willys, I can use it on the Commando, I can use it on any future projects, and then I can also use it to remake those parts there for really about the same cost as just the parts on the plasma cutter would have been. With that said, let's go and start unboxing this. We're going to assemble this, and then we're going to build a small enclosure for this printer that we can make use out of and kind of put it in the corner of the shop to keep it safe and not rust away. Alright, so the initial impression, and I saw this when I watched all the videos, when I read the reviews about this machine, the parts in this thing come extremely well packaged. Everything has its own little box. Everything is well organized, and I'm sure that the instruction manual, because there's nice 3D printing handbook, as well as what looks to be a very detailed assembly manual, I'm sure that this is going to be fairly simple to put together based on what I read. I will obviously tell you guys what I think about it after I print a few parts with it and I get used to using it. Also, as a small bonus, and apparently in the assembly manual it tells you when to eat them, comes with a little package of Haribo. This 3D printer does come out of the Czech Republic, so it took about a week and a half to get here coming from Czech. But let's go ahead and get started on the assembly, the actual fun part of this. Alright, so just like that, the printer is finished. Of course, you guys missed a little bit of the steps that I just didn't include as I was recording this because it got kind of late. I went inside and did the rest of this inside the house while I watched TV with my wife. But the printer is fully assembled, so now all we got to do is calibrate it, and then I'm going to start printing out the parts we need for the enclosure. For the enclosure, I'm going to be using a design that Prusa actually put on their website that uses a few 3D printed parts that they print on their machines to make this enclosure using some IKEA lac tables. These tables are only $9 a piece at IKEA, so if you have one close to you, it's a very cheap and inexpensive way to create an enclosure for this machine. Anyways, I'm going to take this thing inside because it's really hot outside right now. I'm going to set it up, I'm going to calibrate it, and I'm going to start printing out some of these first couple parts on this machine. Alright, so what you guys can see here is the real-time printing of a bunch of different parts for this enclosure that we're building. I have a few of them already printed. It did take a little bit of fine-tuning with the machine to get the right Z-axis height for the different layers, as well as the different speeds that it could operate at, and getting it so that the bed adhered the material to it. I am getting a little bit of stringing with this material, but I think that's just because it's cheap generic PLA, and that's what's causing the stringing. I don't think that's a result of the machine itself. Either way, it's got a few more hours to print all of these parts. It definitely takes a lot of time, but I mean, it goes by pretty quick. You can see what it's doing and the rate that it's moving, and it's not too loud either. But it does take a lot of time to print all these parts just due to the fact that it's going one layer at a time and you're making a bunch of parts like this. It just takes time to do. But anyways, we're gonna let this machine print. We're gonna work on some of the projects right now, and then when this is all done, I'll catch back up with you guys outside in the garage to start putting together this enclosure today. Alright, so to start this enclosure build, as you guys can see here, I have all of the 3D print parts laying on my welding table. These did take about 24 total hours of print time to print all of these parts out, and that was running at 2 times speed on the printer. It is what it is. It's a lot of parts, as you guys will see as I put this thing together, so I understand it just takes a lot of time to 3D print this much stuff. But we got it all printed out, and now we're ready to actually assemble the enclosure. So I'm using a design plan that was on Prusa's website, and this is one that they recommend. It's one that they've used and that they've designed or developed or whatever. And it uses as a base for the whole thing IKEA lac tables, and these tables are about $9 each at IKEA, and you can use 2 or 3 of them to make this little enclosure tower out of. And then inside of that, you then use these 3D printed parts to connect some plexiglass and then just screw things together, and it should be pretty simple. Hopefully the 3D printed parts will make this really easy to put together, and I can put it together pretty quickly this afternoon. So I bought all of the plexiglass online, on Amazon actually. These are so common and such a typical enclosure for these types of printers that you can buy pre-cut and pre-drilled plexiglass on Amazon for like $50 shipped. So that plus 3 of the IKEA lac tables, and then whatever the $20 or so for all this material that we printed out, and then a little LED strip and some super glue, and you're ready to go. So with that said, I'm going to start assembling the tables while the 3D printer is finishing up the last part right now, and we'll start making this little enclosure. Alright, so that's it guys, that is the end of this video. I kind of skipped some steps with the enclosure. I'll be honest, I got a little frustrated. The plexiglass didn't fit perfectly right. I don't know if I was just being dumb with the way the lac tables are, if something didn't get cut right, I have no idea, so I had to trim it all to fit properly. But I got it all in there, it's all finished up. It's got, you know, it'll work, and that's what really matters, is this will work. The main point of this was to keep it away from the majority of the dust in the shop. It's still going to get some in because I left some gaps for airflow and for some other stuff, and I'm probably going to add a fan in here eventually. But it has what it needs to function, to stay contained and stay out of the way, and it's even got space to hold 4 spools of filament up at the top. They're each threaded through individual holes in the top of this table here. You have to change them manually if you want to change them, but at least it's a place to store some of the extra filament that I've got. But anyways, this is it. This is the enclosure. This is the 3D printer. I'm very excited for this moving forward. I've already got a few things for the Willys plan that I've already drawn up that you guys will see in the next Willys video. Some small parts that need to be made for that. So I think this is going to be a great addition to the shop, and I'm super happy to have it. Anyways, I hope you guys like that. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one.